Well, two things. First of all, the Iranian action has been stated very clearly. If they are attacked at all, they will not exercise restraint as they have in the past. In other words, they will respond with whatever they have that can reach the targets that are within range. That means they will use their ballistic missile arsenal and they will attack bases where our aircraft are located, where we have radars, where we have air and missile defense. They will look for command and control hubs, presumably in Qatar and other places in the Gulf. They will attack ships if they think they can strike them. They will do enormous damage, obviously, to Israel, which they see as the principal culprit, and justifiably so, in organizing the entire operation.
Revolutionary Guards just announced massive military drills near the capital, Tehran. Sure, they're calling them routine, but exercises with ground troops and combat scenarios, that sends a very clear message about their readiness.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you get a picture of a country that is seriously rethinking its entire strategy. And that leads to some major questions and, frankly, some pretty scary implications for the whole region.
You know, one of the biggest uncertainties is simply what we don't know. The reality is, only about 70% of Iran's nuclear facilities are actually known and monitored by the International Atomic Energy Agency. That leaves a huge 30% gap. And it raises some really serious worries that secret enrichment could be happening at covert sites, completely off the grid.
So I think we know what the Iranians will do. And how long can they do it? I think that we'll run out of missiles long before they do. So what are we going to do at the beginning? You're going to have a massive, massive assault in the first 24 hours. It's going to be unlike anything that we've seen, certainly since 1990 or 91, rather. So that's what we're going to see on our side, and they'll respond as best they can with whatever they have. So I think it's short of the use of a nuclear weapon, everything is on the table and everything will be used. Now, I did want to pause for a second and point out a couple of things. First of all, there were people in Washington urging Eisenhower to consider not simply building up a larger army in Korea for the purpose of destroying the Chinese forces that were in front of us, but also to invade China and ultimately execute regime change in Beijing. There were some who actually said we should consider the use of nuclear weapons. Eisenhower rejected all of it. And I think we can be grateful that he did. He said, first of all, we don't want to be involved in another long war whose outcome is hard to measure, hard to control. We may think we can destroy them, but we may discover that we can't. He knew enough about China and its expanse to understand that the Chinese have strategic depth, have a large population. They can fall back. They can take the casualties. They can wait you out to some extent. And obviously, he worried about the inclusion of the Soviet Union in that equation. Then you have Kennedy in 1962, who is confronted by the Joint Chiefs. And frankly, the large consensus inside the Joint Chiefs was, let's go invade Cuba. Let's bomb it into the Stone Age, and then we'll invade the place. And of course, that's something that Kennedy considered, and he decided, well, if we go to Cuba, we've been there before. We're going to have to stay for some period of time. It's going to cost us a lot of money. We're going to end up killing large numbers of people that we probably don't want to kill. We really don't want that. We don't want a war in the Western Hemisphere if we can avoid it. And so the rest is history. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that other presidents have been confronted with the kinds of arguments that General Keane is offering, and they said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to go there. Now, right now, I don't know what I haven't polled the people in the White House. I don't know what they're suggesting. I don't know what kind of operational review any of the plans for this coming campaign have been subjected to in the National Security Council staff and who's weighed in. What we do know is that Israel first is the preeminent concern, and that this is considered to be a unique opportunity, not in the history of the United States, but in the history of Israel, to essentially annihilate its most serious competition, strategic competition, and strategic opponent. That's number one. This is unique. And right now, Mr. Netanyahu has absolute control over what we do, which is why you're going to see this air campaign commence in a few days. So if you're an Israeli, Or if you are an Israeli firster inside the White House or in Congress, you've got to go. You absolutely have to do this because this condition for Israel may not last, and Israel's position in the world could change. In other words, they have to consider the terrible possibility that the American people say, we're not going to do this in the future.